Special thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Every time I think the folks over at Vita.hacks.guide have perfected the Vita jailbreak process, they look at things through a new set of lenses and they come up with this. Amazing! In this video, I'm going to show you how to jailbreak your own PlayStation Vita using this updated guide. All the steps are included and we're starting now. Any updates to the video will be posted in the description below, but there are 3 things that are important to note going into this. First, make sure you connect your Vita to the wireless internet because you'll need that for part of the process. Next, make sure to charge your Vita's battery to 100% before you start this process because if the battery dies and there's an update going on, it could break your system. And finally, if you're using a Vita 1000, the original model with the OLED display, you're going to need an original official Sony memory card in order for this to work. With the Vita 2000, you can use the internal storage. This video is largely based around the content from Vita.hacks.guide. They do an incredible job of putting together content to help mod the Vita and the PlayStation TV. I have the guide and any links referenced from it in the video listed in the description. Although not listed in the guide, you definitely want Qcma for Windows. This makes it much easier to connect your Vita to your PC and go through the jailbreak process. Come down to Downloads and click to download the Windows version. Go to your Downloads folder and run the executable for Qcma. And if you're prompted, give it permission to run. From here, you'll get the installer, and there are several key steps of this that you need to be aware of. Generally speaking, it's the usual affair of clicking next and I agree over and over until you get through the installer. Just make sure that WinUSB is checked in the options list here. Then go ahead and go through the install process and you'll get a second pop-up. And from here it's just the usual next, and you should get the USB driver for Qcma installed that will let you connect your Vita. With the installation complete, you can delete the executable that runs the installer. Now minimize File Explorer and go ahead and open up Qcma for the first time. Go down to the start bar, find Qcma, and click to launch it. You'll get a pop-up menu with a bunch of settings that you can change. The good news is you don't have to change any of them. Just click OK. You'll get a pop-up message in the bottom right corner that there's no Vita detected yet. Not a problem. Connect your Vita's USB cable to the Vita and to your PC. You'll get slide-out messages in the bottom right corner that it's setting up the PlayStation Vita to work with your PC, and another one when everything is ready to go. You'll need the latest versions of FinalHE and VitaShell. You can get them off the guide. I also have them linked for you in the description below. VitaShell is hosted directly on the guide, but FinalHE is hosted on the GitHub. From the FinalHE page on the GitHub, scroll down to the Assets section and click on the FinalHE zip file to download it. Navigate to the Downloads folder and extract the zip file that you downloaded for FinalHE. Once the file has been extracted, go ahead and delete this file in order to eliminate clutter and confusion moving forward. But don't uncompress the VitaShell file. In fact, I'm zooming in here specifically to show you the only thing you have to do with the VitaShell zip is drag and drop it right into the FinalHE folder that you just uncompressed. Again, don't unzip that file, just drag and drop it. Then you can navigate into the FinalHE folder and launch FinalHE for the first time, giving it permission when requested. Once it launches, you'll be prompted to close Qcma. Select Yes at this point. If you're currently on version 3.68 or lower of the official firmware, check the Trim h-encore box. I'm on 3.73 at this time, so that's not necessary. Let's transition over to your Vita to launch the Content Manager. On your Vita Live area, navigate over to Content Manager and either tap it or select it with X, and then select again with X to launch Content Manager. You'll be prompted to choose between managing content on your memory card or copying content over from your PC. Select Copy Content. You'll see some minor color shifts along the way as I transition between the best footage I have between the Vita and a PlayStation TV, which do the same thing. Scroll down to PC and select it with the X button and just leave it sitting right there. Back on your PC, make sure that you unplug and plug back in your Vita so that it can be recognized by FinalHE, as Qcma has been shut down at this point. You'll see the Let's Go message get highlighted. Come over to it and click Let's Go to start the transfer process to move h-encore and VitaShell over to your Vita. Once everything's finished transferring over, go back over to your Vita so that you can install h-encore and VitaShell. With Content Manager still sitting at PC, come down to Applications and select it. you'll see both of the applications you just transferred over. Check both of them either by tapping on them or selecting them with the D-pad and X. Then scroll down and all the way to the right to Copy and select Copy. When you select Copy, you'll be prompted to confirm your choice. Scroll over to OK and select it by tapping or selecting it with X. Once the copy process is finished, you're done with Content Manager for the moment. Press the PlayStation button on your PlayStation Vita, and then when prompted, swipe from the top right corner down to close and go back to the live area. And back on your PC, you can also close out FinalHE as you're done with it. Back on your PlayStation Vita, locate the h-encore application on the live area. Tap on it or select it with the X button. Then hold the right shift button on the top of the Vita, and then launch h-encore for the first time, continuing to hold the right shift button. When you're prompted about trophies, select yes. Keep holding the right shift button, and if everything goes to plan, you'll get the h-encore text menu. Now you can launch HENkaku for the first time by scrolling down with the D-pad to install HENkaku and select it with the X button. With the process complete, scroll up to Exit and select Exit with the X button. At this point you've enabled HENkaku, but you need to change a specific setting inside HENkaku for things to work moving forward. From this point, navigate to the Settings icon on the live area and select Settings. Then press X or tap to go into Settings. In the Settings menu, select HENkaku Settings by tapping or pressing X. And inside HENkaku Settings, come down to Enable Homebrew and select this checkbox in order to enable it. Press the circle button to go back to the main menu of settings, then press the PlayStation button and swipe from the top right corner down in order to close settings. Now that that's taken care of, it gives me a chance to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creators. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. We're all video gamers here, so check this out. I put in the search term video games into Skillshare, and all of these learning opportunities came up. Learning how to create video games and write music soundtracks for games has been a rewarding experience for me. And with classes like this one, where you can learn how to create your own RPG game, you can learn how to do something today that you couldn't do yesterday. There are no ads, and they're always launching new premium classes so you can stay focused and follow your creativity wherever it takes you. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description get a free trial of premium membership so that you can explore your creativity. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Back on the guide or linked in the description below, grab the PSP2 updat.pup file for version 3.60 of the official firmware. Also, you need to download Modoru. It's what makes it possible for you to downgrade your firmware from wherever you are to 3.60. Grab Modoru.vpk from the Assets section of the GitHub. When you did the FinalHE process on your computer, it closed Qcma. You'll need to reopen it. Go down to the Windows Start button, come down to Qcma, and relaunch Qcma. Then plug your PlayStation Vita back into your PC. And this is exactly why you wanted Qcma on your system. It will mount up your Vita storage just like any other USB drive. Alright, go to your Downloads folder, and you can delete FinalHE from the Downloads folder as you're not going to need it any longer. Once you have FinalHE deleted, just grab both of the files you just downloaded, Modoru and the PSP2 update file, and copy them. Go back to the USB storage for your Vita, then go into the Data folder. Inside the Data folder, paste Modoru and the update file. Once everything's copied over, go back to your Vita Live area. From the Vita Live area, you'll need to launch VitaShell for the first time. Either tap on VitaShell or navigate down with the D-pad and select it with the X button, and then tap or X button to launch VitaShell for the first time. There are some key settings to consider inside VitaShell when you launch it for the first time. Press the Start button on your Vita to pull up the VitaShell settings menu. And just make sure the select button is set to USB for your Vita. Then scroll down to Restart VitaShell and select it with the X button. I like the Electron theme because it makes it easy to find the highlight on the text, and it also delineates each section of this with a line across it, which makes it much easier to determine what's going on if you're watching this on mobile. In the list of choices here, use the D-pad to scroll down to 𝐂𝐿 and select it with the X button. It's the same thing as that USB storage you just looked at. Now use the D-pad to scroll down until you get to the one that says Data. That's the folder that you just copied the two files over to. Select Data with the X button. Inside Data, you should see the PlayStation Vita update file in Modoru. Navigate to Modoru.vpk, select it with X, and press X to install it to your Vita Live area. Once this install process is complete, you can actually delete Modoru.vpk. Press the triangle button, then in the pop-up menu on the right side, scroll down with the D-pad until you get to Delete. Select Delete with the X button, and you'll get a pop-up message confirming the deletion. Press the X button to confirm. This leaves you with PSP.updat.pup file, and it needs to be relocated using VitaShell. Select it with the triangle button, and in the pop-up menu on the left, scroll down to Copy and select Copy with X. Then press Circle to close the confirmation message. Press Circle again, and scroll up to the App folder and select App with the X button to continue. This is the folder where that file needs to go. Press Triangle, then select Paste with the X button to paste that PSP.updat.pub file into the App folder. Excellent. Press the Circle button to go back, and in the list of folders here, use the D-pad to navigate down to the folder that says TAI, T-A-I. Press the triangle button, and in the list of choices, scroll down to Delete and select Delete with the X button, then press X to confirm the deletion of this folder. Now press the PlayStation button and swipe from the right corner down to go back to the live area. And there's Modoru shaking its booty while the band complains. But don't launch it just yet, you need to restart your Vita first, and when it comes back up to the live area, then you can launch Modoru. Subscribe reminder time, you know what to do. Smash the button, help the channel, get great content. Alright, with your Vita restarted, time to launch h-encore. Press and hold the right shift button, select h-encore, select Yes for trophies, continuing to hold the right shift button, and you should get the text menu again. Once again, scroll down to install HENkaku and select it with the X button. Then select Exit with the X button to go back to the live area. Remember that each time you run h-encore in this process, you have to go back into Settings and enable Homebrew. Go to the Settings application, and then tap or X button in to go to the menu. From here, go to HENkaku Settings, and select HENkaku Settings with the X button. And if it's not already checked, make sure to check Enable Homebrew. And while you're here, make sure you scroll down in the menu and get to Unlink Memory Card and select it with the X button. And at the confirmation prompt, select OK by tapping or pressing the X button. With the memory card unlinked, press the circle button to go back until you're at the Settings main menu, then press the PlayStation button on your Vita and swipe from the top right corner down to go back to the live area. Now you can scroll down with the D-pad to Modoru, open it with the X button, and then launch it with the X button. You'll see the following menu system pop up in Modoru. Press X to confirm and begin the downgrade process to official firmware version 3.60. There's a 20-second countdown delay, wait that out. Then press X to accept the terms and continue. Modoru will do its magic, and then it will transfer your system over to the Settings application so that it can run the official firmware downgrade process to get you down to version 3.60. Now you can load HENkaku through the web browser. Go ahead and load the browser with the X button and then select it with X to launch it. You're going to get a message that pops up and says there's an error. The error is that the website that was default for your device is no longer a valid website. That's all. Just select OK to continue. To give your web browser the best possibility for success, press the triangle button to pull up the menu, then scroll down to Settings with the D-pad and select it with the X button. You want to scroll down with the D-pad here to delete cookies, select it with X, slide to the right for yes, select it with X. Then scroll down with the D-pad to clear search history, slide to the right, select yes with the X button. Now press the circle button to go back. From here you want to navigate to the following website, HENkaku.𝐂𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐊𝐒. This will allow you to launch HENkaku through the web browser through a web exploit. Scroll down to the Install button, and if the pointer is not in the pane, then just press the square button on your controller and the cursor will pop up front and center. Scroll down to Install with the left stick and select it with the X button. You'll get this notice and confirmation message. Scroll over to install and select it with the X button. Now there's a particular thing about this to pay attention to. You're gonna get an error message. This is an expected behavior. As long as that load bar goes all the way to left, all the way to right, you're good to go. It's gonna get kind of jammed up at this point. This is really important. Pay close attention because I beat my head against the desk for longer than I care to admit because this step is not written in the guide and it's a very simple thing to overlook. All you have to do at this point to move forward is just press the circle button on the controller. It's going to take you back here. Just press X and go right back into the browser and whammo, it will do its thing. While Molecule is running and doing its install processes, just don't touch anything on the D-pad or the controller because it will automatically advance through each part of this process. Once Molecule is done, you'll be back at the live area. The guide talks about seeing a Molecule shell installed, but since you have VitaShell already installed, it's not going to double up that work. Go back to Settings with the D-pad, select it with the X button, and then press X to launch it. You'll need to go back to HENkaku settings, select it with the X button, use the D-pad to scroll down to enable Homebrew, press the X button to put a check in the box. Then you can go back by pressing circle to go back to the settings main menu, press the PlayStation button on the controller, and hold circle to go back to the live area. Ensō is the software that makes it possible for you to run these jailbreaks without having to constantly go through the process of loading h-encore and HENkaku over and over. It's on the GitHub and linked in the description. Grab Ensō.vpk from the GitHub here. In your downloads folder, you no longer need Modoru or that PSP to update file. Go ahead and select them and delete them, and that should just leave Ensō.vpk. Reconnect your Vita to your PC by opening VitaShell. Then either tap or use the X button on your Vita to launch it. Then press the select button to re-establish the connection between your Vita and your PC over USB. Back on your PC with the Vita connected by USB, you'll see the memory card. Go to the Downloads folder, and inside the Downloads folder, copy the Ensō.vpk file. Then go back to the memory card for the Vita, and this time go into the Data folder, and inside the Data folder, right-click and paste the Ensō.vpk file. Disconnect your Vita from your PC by pressing the circle button. From here, you can install Ensō by going down to 𝐂𝐿0 and pressing the X button. Then scroll down to the Data folder and select the Data folder with the X button. Then find Ensō.vpk, press the X button to begin the installation process, and press X to confirm. Now you can delete everything in the Data folder by highlighting any one of them, press the triangle, and select Mark All. Then press triangle, scroll down to Delete, and select Delete, and at the confirmation message, press X. Once everything's deleted out of the Data folder, press circle to go back until you get to the VitaShell main menu, and then you can press the PlayStation button on the Vita, and then swipe from the top right corner down to go back to the live area. At this point, you're ready to launch Ensō. You'll find it on your live area shaking booty while the band complains. Select Ensō either by highlighting it with the cursor and pressing X, or tap on it on screen. Then launch Ensō by selecting the molecule icon. In the text that appears on screen, you'll be given the choice to press circle to accept and install or any other button to back out. I'd press circle because you're about to get the goodies installed on your Vita. Press the circle button to continue and let Ensō do its thing. Once that process is finished, you can press any key to reboot your PlayStation Vita, and when it comes back up to the live area, you will have successfully installed Ensō. But there are some key steps that you need to take here, including downloading and installing some key add-ons that will add tremendous value to your Vita jailbreak experience. There are currently 7 key downloads to get. They're all listed on Vita.Hacks.Guide, and I have them linked for you in the description. Grab Config.txt first. This is linked directly on Vita.Hacks.Guide, and the rest of these are all hosted on the GitHub and linked in the description. The first one is Shellbat. Shellbat changes your battery gauge in the top right corner from just being a bar to the actual percentage of battery that you have remaining on your Vita. It's tremendously helpful. Scroll down on this page until you get to the Assets section, and download the file called Shellbat.suprx. The next piece of software is called Pngshot. Its sole purpose in life is to facilitate taking PNG screenshots for your PlayStation Vita. It's linked in the description and it's on the Git. Scroll down to the Assets section and grab the file called Pngshot.suprx. PSVshell makes it possible for you to overclock your Vita if you're interested in this. It's linked in the description and it's on the GitHub. Scroll down on that page until you get to the Assets section and grab the file called PSVshell.𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐋. NoNpDrm makes it possible for you to run certain types of content that might otherwise have challenges with digital rights management. Scroll down on the page until you get to the Assets section and grab NoNpDrm.𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐋. 𝐂𝐇𝐀𝐏𝐿𝐒 empowers your PlayStation Vita to run certain kinds of software that might have specific firmware requirements. It's on the GitHub and it's linked in the description. Scroll down on the page until you get to the Assets section and download the file called 𝐂𝐶𝐂6.𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐋. Vita tweaks, among other things, let you disable the lock screen and even download content directly from the web browser on your PlayStation Vita. It's on the Git and linked in the description. Scroll down to Assets and grab downloadenabler.suprx. Plug your Vita into your PC to connect over USB. When the memory card folders come up, delete the TIE folder, TAI. Then select Yes to confirm. Navigate to the Downloads folder on your PC. Inside the Downloads folder, you can delete Ensō.vpk as you will not need this any longer. Then grab everything that you downloaded in the last step, select it and copy it. Navigate back over to the memory card, and in the Data folder, paste all of those files from the Downloads folder. From the Vita Live area, launch VitaShell and then tap or select it with X. From here, scroll down with the D-pad until you get to the 𝐂𝐿𝐒 directory and select it with X. Then scroll down to Data and select Data with X. Highlight any one of the files, press triangle and select Mark All. Then press triangle again, scroll down and select Copy. Then press X to close the confirmation message. Press circle until you get back to the list of directories, then navigate up one to UR0. Scroll down to the folder called TAI, T-A-I, then press triangle and paste all of those files that you just copied into the TIE folder. Then press the PlayStation button on your Vita, swipe from the right down and close to go back to the Live area. Then relaunch the Settings application and tap to go in. Let's check a couple of key settings you need to be aware of. From the main settings menu, scroll down until you see System and then tap or select with X. Inside here, scroll down one level to Auto Start Settings and tap or select with X. And make sure the Download Update File for System software is unchecked. Press the circle button several times to go back to the main menu and then scroll all the way to the top to HENkaku settings. Press X or tap to select and make sure these things are enabled. Enable PSN spoofing, enable homebrew, and enable version spoofing. Select spoof version by tapping or pressing X, then change the spoof version number to 3.73. Once you have the number entered in, continue to go back until you get back to the main menu and you'll see HENkaku settings. Press PlayStation button and then swipe or press circle to close to go back to the main menu. Let's get you back some space on your Vita so you can load more cool stuff on there. Go back into Content Manager, then tap or press X on Manage Content on Memory Card. When Content Manager loads the main menu, select PS Vita by tapping or pressing X. You'll see a list of applications here and you can delete all of these except for VitaShell as you're not going to need them for part of the jailbreaking processes anymore. Just put a check mark next to all of these, Ensō, h-encore, and Modoru. Then navigate down to or tap and select Delete in the bottom right corner. At the confirmation message, select OK. Once these have been deleted, you can press the PlayStation button on your PlayStation Vita, then swipe down from the right corner or press and hold the circle button to go back to the Live area. Then back on your PC, navigate to your Downloads folder and delete the files that are left over in your Downloads folder to save space and eliminate clutter. Now restart your Vita, and you'll be back at the Live area. Now that your Vita's jailbroken, check out the video on screen and linked in the pinned comment and description below for more great Vita content.